And now it is time for the first of a series of radio dramas exploring the action-packed adventures of the heroes of Waterdeep, presenting The Great Escape. I knew from the moment I started reading that letter that Sandstar was in serious trouble, and only I could save him.
Help! I'm in serious trouble and only you can save me!
He had a way with words.
I'm currently imprisoned in Hillsfar, and I'm innocent of all the charges that they've put before me. I did nothing wrong, and yet they falsely imprisoned me. Please come and help. Surely you can persuade them to let me go, and if that fails you could bring a lot of money, but I'm sure you won't fail. P.S. Please bring something tasty to eat. I have only been given gruel and water since I was imprisoned. P.P.S. And a comfortable pillow would be nice. P.P.P.S. And while you're at it, could you bring me a spare change of clothes? 3 would be nice. I mean, they keep washing my clothes, but these ones have gotten kind of itchy. P.P.P.P.S.
I stopped reading at that point. I knew where I needed to go, but I also knew that I had to go alone. Valendra was out and about in the countryside, and Alantha was busy in divine study. Amber was working for Kelban, and Calandra had returned home with her sister. If I was to rescue Sandstar, I'd have to go by myself. But when you're an adventurer, there are just things you must do, and so off I went. The journey to Hillsfar was a perilous ordeal, but not because we were attacked by any monsters, or found any difficulties along the way. No, the true challenge was enduring the conversation of the wagon master Terence. He was a kind enough man, willing to let me tag along for free. I was to protect the caravan if something went awry, which fortunately it didn't. Unfortunately, I sat beside Terence through the entire journey, and never before have I been subjected to a man who talked so much and yet said so very little. About onions. I could tell you any fact you could ever want to know about onions now. He even suggested that I make a spell in his name. Terence's magical onion, he called it. The ability to conjure up onions with a thought. I told him I would consider it, if only because it made him be quiet for an hour, but that was a brief respite. The journey felt far longer than it should have been, but eventually, and thankfully, we did arrive at the walls of Hillsfar. I had never been to Hillsfar personally. I knew fellow academics that had visited Hillsfar from time to time, but they'd had little to say about the city, aside from the fact that it was far out of the way and very close to the ruins of Mithranor. Now there's a place I never want to visit if I can avoid it. A place long abandoned, apart from the monsters that reside within the ruins. But that is besides the point. Getting into Hillsfar wasn't difficult. I paid the fee, and before I knew it, I was asking a guard about the location of the prison. When he asked me which prison I was talking about, I mentioned Sandstar. Whereupon the guards laughed between one another. Sandstar? Oh, why do you want to go and see him? Because he's asked for my help. I didn't know he even had any friends. Well, I suppose if you want to see the laughing-stock of the city, I can bring you to him. Follow me and stick close behind. You could get lost in the crowd, and I wouldn't want that. I wondered if he was being sincere, but I did keep close. The streets were indeed very busy with activity, and likely pickpockets, though none of them would have been able to get at my gold. It was within my robes, and people usually know better than to try and pickpocket somebody who looks like a master of the arcane. Before long, I was brought to Sandstar's cell. My friend was sat on his bed, twiddling his thumbs, looking at the window with a thoughtful expression. He was likely trying to find a way to escape. The window was not going to be a good option, however, as it was much too small for him, though that was unlikely to stop his musings. Upon spying me, he grinned widely and rushed to the bars.
"Rune! I knew you'd come and rescue me, you and everyone else. Everyone else is here, right? They're just outside?"
"No, Sandstar, it's just me."
"Just you? Where are the others? Do they not care that I've been falsely imprisoned?"
The guards grinned at that. I ignored them. They would care, but they're currently busy doing other things. I decided it was best to come immediately rather than wait for them to be available. After all, we do want to clear up this matter as quickly as possible. But to do so, you're going to have to give me all of the details. "You'll be fine by yourself, I take it?" the guard asked. "We will be fine, thank you. You've been most kind in guiding me here." "Have a good day." They left. The door was slammed behind them. I turned to my friend and gave him a stern look. "What kind of mess have you gotten yourself into, Sandstar?"
"I didn't do anything."
"I
didn't. Honest."
I kept staring at him. Eventually, he cracked.
All right. I'm half right. I didn't do anything this time."
"What about last time?"
"Do you remember when I first came to Hillsfar? The story I gave you of me doing epic heroics and everything like that?"
"Yes, the story that you fabricated."
"Why did none of you believe me when I told you of my adventures?"
"Really, Sandstar? We both know which version of events actually happened."
"All right, fine. I did die in Hillsfar, but I was raised from the dead."
"And?"
"And then I left."
"And?"
"And then we went on our adventure to Darkmoon, and then I decided to come back upon hearing about a group of ogres that I could rob of their riches, and then they arrested me out of the blue. Why would they do that?"
"Have you actually asked them why you've been arrested?"
"No, I mean, what could it possibly be?"
"Maybe it is the fact that you probably didn't pay them for being raised from the dead." I could see the cogs in Sandstar's head slowly turning, and then they clicked into place.
"Oh, that! Well, that's just a minor thing. You brought money, right? I'm sure that we can just pay for the resurrection, and then we can be on our way."
I gave him a look. He knew what the look was.
"You didn't bring 5,000 gold?"
"When you told me to bring money, I presumed it was just to get your bail, not to pay for resurrection. I don't even have 5,000 gold. The entire party doesn't have 5,000 gold collectively. How do you expect me to pay for something like that?"
"You could have asked Kelban for some money."
I sighed. "I didn't know that you needed 5,000 gold, and I don't think Kelban would have given it to us even if I'd have asked."
"He's our friend, isn't he? He'd want me out of prison."
"But you're justifiably in prison, Sandstar. You've not been arrested because they felt like it. They have precedent."
"Well, you can talk them into releasing me. We are heroes, after all. When rumor goes about that they've arrested one of the heroes of Waterdeep, it'll look bad for them." "Is there no one else that you could ask for help? What about that drow?"
"What drow, Sandstar?"
The drow from the Temple of Darkmoon."
"Oh, you mean the person we didn't resurrect?"
"Yes, him." "What?"
"Remember? We found his bones, and we didn't bring him back from the dead."
"Oh, we didn't, did we?"
"And then, when Kelban's wizards dematerialized the whole place, I imagine the bones went with it."
"Oh, we really should have took those bones out with us when we left."
"We probably should have."
"Is there no one that you can ask for help?"
"Well, I could go and find Terence."
"What could Terence do?"
He could tell you thousands of interesting facts about onions. He could keep you entertained for many weeks.
If it's all right with you, I think I'll just sit here and wait for you to get back. The captain of the guard is in the building opposite. Big fortification. Can't miss it. Very nice person. She spoke to me a bit. I'm sure you can reason with her.
Somehow I doubted the truth in his statement, but I agreed to talk to the captain of the guard on Sandstar's behalf. I walked the short journey to the fortification opposite, and noticed that it was even more heavily guarded than I thought it would be. 4 people were watching the main door, and they questioned me intensely. But when it was revealed that I was pleading for Sandstar's freedom, they decided to let me in, as they put it, because it would be funny to listen to. I was taken to a plain room, stone walls, stone floor, stone ceiling, with a table and 2 very uncomfortable-looking chairs. I sat down and waited. I lost track of time, and began to worry. What if this was a ruse? What if they decided to dispense punishment for him not paying? As much as he got himself into trouble from time to time, the thought of Sandstar being incarcerated for longer didn't sit well with me, and so I hoped that the captain would appear. She did eventually arrive, clad almost head to toe in plate mail. Her stern expression told me how seriously she took her job. She had a scar that ran all the way down the right side of her face, and strapped to her back was a great sword that glistened with a magical jewel in the pommel. She sat down opposite me, and looked right into my eyes. Her stare was piercing, as if it went straight through my head onto the wall behind me, but I matched the gaze as she spoke. "So you are Rune of Waterdeep?" "That I am. And you are?" "I am Captain Salania of Hillsfar, and I hear that you have come to negotiate for Sandstar's freedom." "I have." "Has he told you why he is imprisoned?" "I have discovered the reason now, yes." "Do you have the gold for his freedom?" "No, but I plead for his freedom." "And you think your words will wipe away a debt of 5,000 gold? The temples of Hillsfar do not return the dead lightly. It was only his reputation as a hero that made us even consider doing so. And then he upped and left without so much as a word." "I'm sure he just didn't realize that he needed to pay. He broke through the window." "Probably because the door was locked and he really wanted to get out of there."
"It was on the 3rd floor.
I had to admire Sandstar for his ingenuity. How he escaped from there without injury was something I'd have to ask him about later. But later was not then. I was still arguing for his life. He is a man of many talents."
"That he is. He's also guilty of breaking into many buildings within this city and trying to steal their riches."
"I was under the impression that he'd already served his punishment for that, being thrown into the arena and all."
"He has indeed served his punishment for some of those incidents, but it has come to light that he broke into more places than we first thought, and so he must also serve his punishment for that."
"What are we talking about here? A small fine? A couple of days?"
3 years per incident."
3 years? That's a tad harsh, wouldn't you say?"
"We deal with thieves sternly here. That is why crime in Hillsfar is not of the magnitude of Waterdeep."
She said the name of the city I called home with disdain. I ignored it as best I could.
"Do you have the 5,000 gold or not?"
I had an idea. It was a long shot, but perhaps it would work. "I don't have it here right now," I said, "but if you give me an hour, I could get it for you. I'll need Sandstar free to help me, though."
"Why do you need him free?"
There are people that owe him some coin, I lied. But to get it, they'll need to speak to him personally. They won't just hand the money to somebody who claims to represent him. You have my word that I will return here with him and 5,000 gold. That I know, because you'll be going with an armed escort. I couldn't object. If I did, the ruse would have been exposed. That's fine. You don't need to worry about us. I'm as good as my word. That remains to be seen, considering Sandstar's temperament. I, for one, look to Sandstar and consider the type of people that would tolerate a man such as that. You may say what you like about Sandstar, I said, standing up. I couldn't hide the anger on my face. But he is a hero. Twice he has saved Waterdeep, and perhaps even the entire realms. You do well to remember that. Hero or no, here he is a criminal. I'll wait for your money. I was escorted out, and while Sandstar was released from prison, we were followed by 3 guards. They remained 10 or so paces behind us, so that we could talk to the various moneylenders that didn't exist, without them fearing that something was up. I told Sandstar of my plan.
Are you insane? We don't know anyone here that would give us 5,000 gold.
Would you prefer to remain in that cell forever? She wanted you in there for 3 years per theft that you conducted.
But I'd already served my sentence for all of them.
And the other incidents?
I don't know what other incidents they're referring about. There's something wrong with Hillsfar, Rune. This place it's almost oppressive. We've got to get out of here. What say we lose the guards and make a break for the city gates? We could make it.
I find that unlikely. I'll trust you to find a flaw in my otherwise masterful plan. Your masterful plan was full of more holes than the cheese that I ate last week.
Did it have onions in it?
Funny you should ask. I looked ahead to the market. It was full of people hawking their wares, buying and selling like there was no tomorrow. It was a good place to potentially lose the guards, but I still needed to think on how I was going to find 5,000 gold. I looked to Sandstar. Well, I'm open to ideas. I couldn't see him. It was then that I realized that Sandstar had done a runner. He'd taken the first chance he had and fled. This is how he got into trouble to begin with. Sandstar! But with me shouting, I'd betrayed the fact that he was gone. The guards were rapidly approaching me, and I knew that they wouldn't wait to hear my explanation, so I did the only thing that made sense. I turned myself invisible and ran down a side street. I'm not proud of what I did, but the alternative was incarceration and ending up in the same situation as Sandstar, and I knew for a fact that Valendra would not have been as kind as I was in arriving here to try and free us. She'd have told us to serve our sentence, and that she was very disappointed in what we did. She would have been right, of course, but maybe there was a kernel of truth to what Sandstar was saying. Maybe there was something wrong with the justice system in Hillsfar, but any investigation in that would have to wait. I had to find Sandstar, and quickly. Unlike me, he wasn't able to turn invisible. I rushed down the side street that was entirely devoid of people, only to hear someone whispering to me.
Psst! Rune, over here, behind the barrels of manure.
The smell lured me to his location immediately, and I quickly joined him. How did you know?
Doesn't matter. I'll explain later.
The guards rushed right past us.
I have this ring here. It allows me to see people that are invisible.
And dare I ask where you got that ring from?
I got this ring from entirely legitimate avenues. I purchased it with the money that I got from Darkmoon. Now, when you're done judging me...
I'm not done judging you. Why did you run?
Oh yes, and your plan would have been so much better. Walking around the city for an hour trying to find 5,000 gold. Oh yes, certainly we could get that. We'll just, look under a barrel. I'm sure somebody's dropped a couple of bags of sapphires. 5,000 gold, Rune. I've never seen 5,000 gold in my life. How do you expect us to find that here?
It's better than what you've done. You've made me as guilty as you are.
Well, we just leave here and we'll never have to worry about it ever again.
We will have to worry about it. They'll set a bounty. They'll get people to come and hunt us.
Well, we leave, and then we just surreptitiously send a big pile of money to them and an apology letter. We could get someone to bake a cake.
The look I gave Sandstar defied any explanation. Suffice to say, he got what I meant.
I suppose you're right. I have made this situation worse, but at least we're not in a cell. We can do something while we're not in a cell.
You are right. We probably should try and get out of here.
You can fly, right? You have magic that will make us fly?
No.
Teleport?
No.
You can turn me invisible as well?
I only had it prepared once.
Oh.
We're going to have to sneak out the good old-fashioned way.
I have an idea.
Does it involve hiding in the back of a wagon? Because if that's the case, it's not going to work. They check the wagons that arrive and leave.
Darn. I know. We cause a distraction. That way, we can escape while they're all occupied with whatever it is that they're distracted by.
It's not a bad idea, Sandstar, but I don't know what distraction would be sufficient to occupy the entire guard. Hey, you! I looked up. One of the guard had seen Sandstar.
All right, change of plan. Run for it!
I ran as fast as I could. As we barreled down the street, people gave way. They could only see Sandstar, but I followed in his wake as the guards continued to pursue us. To my dread, I realized that one of them was a spellcaster, and he aimed a wand at us. In an instant, I became visible, and it was then that I knew we were in some serious trouble.
Rune, they're gaining on us! Use your magic, do something!
What do you expect me to do?
Anything, as long as it distracts them.
I'm not going to fire a fireball in the middle of Hillsfar.
Well, you don't have to use a fireball, just something. They've nearly got us.
In my panic, I turned around and prepared to unleash a fantastical illusion. It was then that I was shoved by a left-handed orc clad in armor. Oh, do excuse me. As he did that, my spell went awry, flying off in a random direction with powers unknown. At first I thought that nothing had happened, and then one of the chickens being sold by a merchant grew to the size of a dragon. It destroyed the building next to it, and then clucked so loudly everyone's attention was drawn to the behemoth egg-laying creature that I had created. Panic ensued. People ran in all directions as the chicken, startled by their action, ran rampant.
Quick, run!
But the mess I've caused.
No, too late for that. Run! It's the perfect distraction.
But I didn't want to run. This was my mess, and I had to deal with it. It was bad enough that we were trying to escape the law, but I didn't want people to get hurt by my magic. I readied to dispel the effect, but Sandstar was tugging at my arm, even as the guards drew closer.
We've got no time, Rune. We must go, now!
No! I must undo what I've done! Will Rune be able to undo the terrible magic that he's wrought? Will he and Sandstar be able to escape Hillsfar? Will Lefty the left-handed orc ever make it to fight the Minotaur with no name? And will Terence make it to the Onion Convention in time? Tune in next time for the next exciting episode of The Great Escape.
Wait, it's over?
That's right. Tune in for the next part next time.
You can't just leave it on a cliffhanger like that.
I can and I will.
That's mean.
That's the nature of cliffhangers. It makes you want to see more.
But what if there isn't another episode?
Then you'll just be stuck like that forever.
Stuck in front of a giant chicken being chased by guards in Hillsfar. No thank you. You will make a new episode.
Sandstar, don't pester the narrator.
I will pester the narrator. Look, you listen here.
You do realize that I can end this whenever I like.
I don't care. You are not going to end this because you need